All right, so while I'm cleaning up, I'm getting ready to like move this thing into another area into my room so I can do my fluids. Now in terms of cleanup, I just put everything in here on the inside. And then I stuff it all up in a ball. You can save whatever else you don't use in here. You can save the tape, even though I think it's shit. You can save the alcohol prep wipes that are in here, even though I think they're shit. If you have a Groshong or a Hickman, you have to measure your line every day because it can change. It can go in and out, and you need to know exactly how long that line is. And so they give you a little ruler so that it's like paper, but you need to know how long your line is every day, and you have to keep on top of that. What was I going to tell you? I don't need to wear these anymore. Oh yeah. So if your bag gets below your heart, you're going to have blood that comes out of your line. You do not want that. You don't want that at all. So you want to keep this above your heart while it's open. And if you know you're going to move it and you might drop it below where your heart is right here, close this one. Because if you only close this one, your body is going to still force blood into the line. Right? And then it's going to clot, and then it's going to be yucky and gross, and you do not want blood in your line. And you don't want air bubbles in your line, because you're going to get some air bubbles, tiny, tiny little microscopic ones. Well, they will form together into bigger air bubbles in your body. So you want to try to avoid that if at all possible. Okay, so a couple other things. Let's say I finished my fluids. I'm done. I haven't started, but let's pretend. So I take my line off, I put my like green cap on. I can show you how to do that later. But let's say I want to go take a shower. All right. How do I get my site ready? Now with a Groshong or a Port, or not, a Groshong or a Hickman, and I have not had my coffee. What I used to do is I used to take a piece of like paper towel, and I would lay it over the top of the Tegaderm, which is big. It's a big site. So this whole area would be covered in paper towel. And then I would take another Tegaderm, because they make them massive, like the size of a sheet of paper. So I'd put the paper towel on so that the two Tegaderms don't touch each other. And then I put the giant Tegaderm, which is like the size of this, over the whole thing. And that's how you take a shower with a Groshong or a Hickman. With a Port, you just disconnect. You flush it with saline, you flush it with heparin, you put your green cap on with the chlorhexidine in it, and then you just take a shower. And then you don't need to cover it extra. Now, one thing I do is I'm going to look at this area right here at the bottom of the line. And if it's starting to come up, I will reinforce it with either a second piece of Tegaderm or another piece of tape. There are all sorts of different ways to cover these things. There's all sorts of different materials. Some of them have like stuff that goes underneath it and then over the top of it. Some of them make the coverings, which are not waterproof. And so if you sweat, it's going to soak in all that moisture and just have it against your skin, which is why I cannot tolerate them. And you can't shower with them. So I hate those types, but they exist out there. And for some people that can't use Tegaderm, that's what works for them. And that's, a lot of different options out there for different people. But the biggest thing is I want to make sure this is tight. And if I need to reinforce this with a piece of tape, I will do so. Or another piece of Tegaderm. I always have my supply company send me medium-sized Tegaderm. This is a medium-sized. And then I have them send them small Tegaderm, which is what you would put on an IV. And if this starts to come up at the bottom, which is where it will come up, I put a small Tegaderm on top of it. I just sanitize the skin, slap it down on top. So now I'm going to go run my fluids. All right, so this is your little dial for gravity. We don't see these very much in the hospital, but it's like you just twist it and that's how you change the flow rate. The lower the flow rate, the longer those fluids are gonna stay in your system, essentially. So if you run it wide open, you'll get fluids in you really fast, but your body will not be able to process them really fast. And you'll probably get rid of most of them, and you'll probably pee most of it out, and you'll need more fluids the next day. So the slower you can go, the longer you'll retain them. Like sometimes I'll set it and let it go while I'm sleeping at a very, very low rate, very low. But I'm busy today, so I'm gonna set it like really high. Generally though, I'm supposed to do 4 hours to get a bag of fluids in. That's my level. I don't follow the rules. I get it in like an hour because I have shit to do. All right, so now I'm ready to go. I again have just a command hook that, you know, it's I think one of like the towel sized ones, you know, for like the bathroom on the wall, and that's been up there for 5 years. It works really, really well, and they're not expensive, and I find IV bowls to be clunky, and it's fine if I'm like in the kitchen and I'm like moving around and I need to move around and I don't want to be stuck in one place, but I don't think they're high enough. So this is like really pretty high up on the wall. The higher, that's the other thing, is that the flow rate is influenced by where you have, there we go, yeah. Your flow rate is going to be influenced by where you have your bag. So if you have your bag barely above you, it's going to go real slow if you're doing gravity. So, sometimes when I'm in the basement, I will hang it on like a metal coat hanger, and we've got those like ceiling panels in the basement where you can like push them up into the side a little bit, and I just hook it on the ceiling. You can also, if you're traveling, like you're in a hotel, you can just get the coat hanger from the closet at any hotel you're at and hook your bag on it and stick it on, you know, the curtain rod, right? Or the shower rod if you're like, know you're going to be in the bathroom doing your makeup for a while, or your hair, or you're going to be on the toilet for a long time, or you're doing a bowel cleanse, right? Which is why mine is right next to my toilet. My hook is right next to my toilet in my bathroom because I just hang it in there. And then if I have to go to the bathroom while I'm running this thing, again, I clamp the one that is closest to my body. You can clamp both, but this is the bigger one. And then I just walk it in there, put it on the hook next to the toilet, do my thing, and then I can come back. At this point, like, I'm not as worried about wearing, you know, like my line is fine. Obviously I don't want it on the floor, and I try to keep it clean. You can use your lines more than once. You can use bags once you like open it. You don't have to finish it all in one shot. I'm gonna open this and get it started. I will put my clothes back on here. But sometimes, like especially when Hildy was younger and I would need to stop and like go breastfeed her or do a diaper, or like I had to just do something for like a couple hours, because God, when she was a baby, I mean, you know how it is, like